Hi, and welcome to the SaVeg podcast.
I'm Rose, also known as Cheap Lazy Vegan on YouTube.
And I'm Daniel, one of your favorite guest stars on Cheap Lazy Vegan's YouTube channel.
We're two friends who love to talk about the latest trending topics.
So get comfortable and join us while we give our SaVeg take on just about everything.
You are currently listening to the previous episode of this podcast, but if you would like to listen to this week's episode and get some exclusive content, go over to patreon.com/thesavagepodcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the SaVeg podcast.
Hello, guys. We are back.
Is my voice sounding the same? Does it sound a little...
You sound a little hoarse, Rose.
Oh, God damn.
And why you be sounding different?
I be getting into some activities.
Oh, God. what kind of sexual activity you be getting into?
I didn't say sexual. You said sexual. So I just went on a trip, a little girls trip to Kelowna. So just got back. There was a lot of screaming because we're a bunch of rowdy ladies. Mm-hmm. It was for a bachelorette.
Where's Kelowna for those of people that don't know?
Kelowna is, oh, look at you. You're getting better at this. I've taught you well. Did you just roll your eyes at me?
I sure did.
Well, because in the beginning you would just say random things that no one would understand.
Well, and now you're doing it.
I know.
So actually, we've
reversed roles. This is not. I've regressed. You've progressed.
Exactly.
This is what. That's what it says
Story
about
of life.
our. Well, that's what says that. Goddamn, I can't talk.
Now you can't talk.
You
just
know,
like
oh my
me.
God, that says a lot about our friendship. You know what they say? You should hang out with people that are going to bring you up. Unfortunately, I've brought you up, and you've just brought me down. So basically, you're benefiting from my,
Rose,
my presence, and I am unfortunately not benefiting. Anyways, I'm just joking, guys. Okay.
Are you though? Anyway.
So Kelowna is a nice little city in British Columbia, which is in Canada, which is in the west of Canada. It's about a 7-hour drive from this city.
From Calgary. And in the British Columbia is the province that borders the ocean. So they borders the Pacific Ocean on the west coast. And it's beautiful.
Is that how they say it? It borders the ocean?
Yeah.
Sounds like a very strange... There wouldn't be a border in the ocean, Daniel.
I know, but the border
It's a border
of
the country.
Oh, God damn.
Okay, there ain't no borders on the ocean.
How about this? It touches
the
Pacific
Ocean.
Ocean.
It's along the Pacific Ocean. The Pacific Ocean is next to...
The Pacific Ocean borders that
No.
country.
Is there a border, Daniel? What is the point of a border? Let's get into the technicalities.
There's different definitions of what makes a border anyway.
No, but a border... Oh, God, guys. It's going to be a long episode.
I haven't seen Rose for a while, so she's extra sassy.
So it was a lovely time, and there was a lot of screaming involved.
Yeah.
There may have been.
Are you going to say it on the podcast, Rose? What there may have been?
Well, there may have been a stripper.
What?
But I won't say anymore.
No. Did you enjoy the stripper?
I will not say anymore.
Okay.
Let's just say there was a lot of screaming.
Yeah. Primarily from Rose.
Primarily from all of us.
Yeah, true.
We actually had someone, the security come and was like, y'all need to keep it down. It's because the reason why is because we were outside on the balcony when the stripper first arrived.
Yeah.
And so we were screaming on the balcony outside. So, and then we moved back inside.
For the show.
I really wish we had like multiple cameras because your facial expressions are kind of priceless.
Are they?
Yeah.
And we can only just see it on this one.
I know. Like it just doesn't
from a distance.
It doesn't do justice.
Oh, it doesn't do justice to my
Guys,
beautiful face.
Well, I mean, I'm just going to say it. If we get 1,000 patrons, we'll get multiple cameras.
Oh, God damn, Rose. You going to put that out there?
I put it out there.
Okay, well, putting it into the universe.
I'm manifesting it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting close. We're about 10% in.
God damn.
Because we now have, guys, over 100 patrons.
Which means, what does that mean, Rose? We've been talking about what's going to happen.
Oh my God.
When we hit
this was like such a milestone.
Pivotal moment.
We're going to do a bonus episode.
Ooh.
So normally, guys, we do a bonus episode for the patrons once a month, as you guys know. But I guess maybe for this month or next month, we'll do oh my God, there's going to be so many episodes.
I know. We're going to do a bonus.
Yes.
For the Patreons.
And we going to get drunk?
Yes.
Yeah.
Have some wine, enjoy ourselves. And also, guys, just a few of the other perks for those of you that are interested in joining. You get all the episodes a week early. So they come out right pretty much right after we record them, and they're all ad free as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So come join us, guys. It is growing, and we're gonna start with some Patreon shout outs. So we're gonna start with. God damn, Daniel, you be excited.
Damn, I'm gonna have to move my microphone for this shout out business.
We're gonna get started with Michelle,
Jenny,
Andrea,
Mariana,
Anita,
Emmy,
Monique.
Sherm Slim.
You got all the difficult ones
I
today.
did, yeah.
Anna,
Joel,
Daniela,
April,
Natasha,
Grace,
and Pamela. Is that it for the shout outs?
That is it for the shout outs.
Oh, God.
Today,
guys, we caught up with the Patreon shout outs. Thank you so much to everybody that has joined us.
Much, guys.
And of course, for any newcomers, we will be shouting you out as well. So if you want to hear your lovely, beautiful name being butchered on our episodes, then join us on Patreon.
We have a little fam there. We have a little community.
Oh my God, it's so exciting.
Yeah,
it's so fun.
Super fun.
So yeah, love you guys so much. Anyways, we're going to get started. What is our discussion of the day?
There's so many stories going on. I think the first one that we should talk about, though, it's kind of a funny one. Well, not funny one. It's funny, but not funny.
Is it kind of a funny one, but not a funny one?
It is.
Are you having some issues with this mic situation?
I don't know what I'm doing today, guys.
Okay.
I'm like struggling at life.
I mean, that's not the first time.
Anyways, moving on. Basically.
Do I sound sexier with a hoarse voice? Does it sound a bit more exotic? What do you think? I feel like an English accent suits very well this new voice of mine.
Well, Rose.
Maybe I should be more calm and talk like this the entire time.
I mean, you calm. I think those two words don't go together. But
I aspire to be a calm person.
Keep aspiring, Rose. Keep aspiring, okay? You know, you're manifesting the 1,000 patrons or whatever. Manifest you being calm.
Oh, God
that
damn,
would be a true.
Daniel.
That would be a.
Well, I ain't gonna be calm if I keep hanging out with you.
It would be an amazing manifestation. Make my life so much better. Just kidding. But today's story, Rose actually brought it to my attention. She sent me this YouTube clip actually, which I watched, but I did find a story about it as well. So, you know, we talk about this whole people feeling, you know, we talked about, obviously we've talked about transgender, issues and things on many of our different podcast episodes. This is a different one. This is the first I've ever heard of this kind of situation. But I guess there's like, I don't know if it's a new concept because I actually found another story about somebody else, which we'll talk about in a minute. But
Shut up.
Of people feeling transracial.
I mean, there's a lot to unpack here.
There is a lot.
So let me kind of give you guys the background of this whole transracial situation. So basically, this, I guess, YouTuber influencer person, his name is, or their name, I guess, is Ollie London. Yeah. And I think this person was already like kind of making headlines for getting so much plastic surgery. Yeah. Because this person is like a white guy from London or from the UK. London, yeah. And he made headlines because he started getting all of these plastic surgeries to, I guess, try and look like this Korean pop star. Yeah. Which I think he's a BTS member. Yeah. Park Jimin. Anyways. And so I think I remember seeing his name, like Ollie London, like maybe a couple years ago, because he was like getting all these plastic surgeries and all this stuff. Anyways, recently, he made this video saying that he identifies as Korean. And and he's like, I feel like I'm Korean. I feel like this is my ethnicity. And what were your initial thoughts when you watched the video? Like, do you think he was telling the truth?
I think in this particular case, like, I don't know. He just seems like this particular influencer. Obviously, don't know him that well. Just saw that one video. It seems like he is just in general struggling with his identity. Like, he doesn't seem to know. Like, these are just the initial like feelings. And I feel like, you know, initially he was like getting all these plastic surgeries, and then he decided, okay, now I'm identifying as Korean. I'm going to get more plastic surgeries to kind of like look more Korean. Right. And then he was saying about how he also is identifying as this BTS star as well. It wasn't just that he was Korean. It's like he identifies as a K-pop star. So like...
Okay, listen. Here are my thoughts.
Okay, let's hear them.
I think he's trolling.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's real. Like, because that's exactly why. Because when he was talking about it, he was saying how his pronouns are they, them. Jimin and Korean.
Yeah.
So either he's trolling or he doesn't understand what pronouns are, because those are not pronouns.
I know.
Like, it's a troll.
It's just,
I think it's a troll.
I don't know. I don't know if it's,
You think he's genuine?
I think that this particular individual, and again, I don't want to like discredit people or whatever here, but I think this particular individual has some serious, like maybe mental health issues and stuff. So I think that maybe he needs to work through those to figure out exactly what he wants out of life, because clearly he is very confused. And I don't know if it's necessarily him trolling. I think maybe he's just like very self-conscious, not self-conscious. What's the word? Just
insecure.
Yeah, he's like very insecure, and that's why he like takes on these other personas, because maybe he just doesn't feel happy with himself, so he's trying to be other people.
Right.
You know?
So let's talk about the transracial thing. Is that even possible?
Well, this is the thing.
How do we feel about that?
Well, this is the thing about like being transracial, right? So like, let's say, for example, I'm just going to use the like Korean as an example. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, what if I said, okay, all of a sudden I identify as Korean, or like,
can you do that?
The thing is I think like the country that you identify from, it's a really complex thing, because like, if you think about it, I, for example, could have been, my parents could have moved to Korea and I grew up there and I would identify as Korean, even though I would look white.
Right.
So I feel like the transracial thing is like, it depends where you grow up, and you don't necessarily have to like look a certain way to be part of that particular gender, that particular race or like culture, right? Because like, for example, if you had grown up in Australia, you would be like Australian. Do you know what I mean? Or if you grew up in India, you would be like,
well, I think those are different things. So we have to clarify different things. So for example, Australia and Canada are countries where it is kind of like not based on, how do I say? So Korea, if you identify as Korean, it's like an ethnicity.
Okay.
And I feel like, and maybe this is something that needs to change, because for example, even if you are from like, let's say you're from England and you move to Korea and you live there like most of your life, you still, I think you can be a Korean citizen, but do you know what I'm saying? Like Canadian, I can be Canadian, you can be Canadian. We're two completely different ethnicities.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how like Canada is, I guess, designed in that like particular way.
But you don't think like, for example, just to play devil's advocate, if I was, if like I was born in the UK, but then my parents for whatever reason moved to Korea because they got a job, and I grew up there from when I was like a baby.
Yeah, I think you should be able, like, that's the thing. I feel like that's the kind of like, maybe that's the place that we need to like, how do I say? Maybe it's because I'm Korean. Like, I feel like it's think
about
yeah.
Like,
so I do feel like that's what I'm saying. I feel like that part does need to change, because I think that we see like, for example, Chinese as like an ethnicity,
I see
Korean as an ethnicity.
Yeah.
Like for example, saying you're British, like your ethnicity is British.
Yeah.
It's not a nationality. There are two different things.
Yeah.
There's Korean nationality, and then there's Korean ethnicity. So I think what he's saying is he is ethnically Korean. So there's two differences there, right?
Okay.
Because you can probably say, even though he's never lived in Korea, I don't think. Does he live in Korea?
No, I think he lives in the UK.
Yeah. So like he's never lived in Korea. So this is why I also think he's trolling. I think he just wants attention. Because I don't actually think he doesn't, like, he was trying to say Korean words. I'm like, can you at least learn the language before like,
because he doesn't speak very much
that's
Korean.
what I'm saying. I'm like, that's why I think he's trolling. I think he's trolling. But anyways, so yeah, there is a distinction between British as an ethnicity
versus a nationality.
So I could be a British citizen potentially if I was born there, but I wouldn't be ethnically British, right?
Yeah.
So that's the distinction. But I think what he's saying is that
he's ethnically
Korean. Because that's a race, right? That's why they're calling it trans race. Yeah. Right?
Transracial. So like you just feel like you were born into
that's why I feel like it's made up. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then did people say the same thing about transgender people?
This is where it's difficult, right? Like with this particular case, part of the reason why I agree with you, why I think he's not necessarily trolling. I just think he's very insecure and very like confused, because he doesn't really know what he wants. He like throws out all these pronouns, throws out this stuff, being like, yes, I'm this. I'm my.
What if he knew what he wanted? What if he was like, I am for sure Korean,
Well, then I don't
Would that
know.
change something?
I don't know. It's just like but maybe this is what people were saying about trans people, like transgender people a while ago.
But I think I feel like it's different. Maybe it's my biases. I don't know. But I feel like it's different because if you're transgender, they have something called like body dysmorphia. Like people that are born transgender, they literally feel like they're in like a different body. Yeah. Like it's not like a situation where like this guy was, and like it's ethnicity is not really the same as like race. If you think of not race, sex. As sex.
That's actually a good point because sex is like,
it's very body focused. Like we're still gonna have the same body parts if we are, you know, Korean or Japanese or whatever. Yeah,
exactly. Well, no, that's actually a really good point. It's like with transgender, it's like you actually feel like you're the other gender. You have the wrong parts.
Yes.
You are like, you know, you're a woman or a man or whatever the case may be. Whereas somebody that's like, you're right. Like if I was white or I mean, I am white, but like if I was Asian, Chinese, black, whatever, I would still be a man.
Exactly.
You know? So I don't know. It's a bit of a weird one.
I feel like this is one of those things that I feel like a lot of, I mean, I haven't read too much about the reaction to this, but I feel like conservative people are probably going to have a field day with this.
Oh yeah, 100%. This is going to be like another fuel to the fire against why they think like trans people, for example,
is ridiculous.
Yeah, they're going to be like, oh, look at this. Now people are transracial. Exactly. All this stuff. I want to pull up the other story. So we talked about this guy.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let's talk about the other stories because I haven't heard about the other story. And like, I'm sorry, like,
oh God,
I don't know who his plastic surgeon is, but like.
Yeah, guys, we're just looking at pictures and stuff here.
I'm looking at his picture and like I just can't. You can't identify as someone's name. Okay, that is not a pronoun.
Exactly. During the video, as you mentioned, London came out as non-binary while also revealing they considered themselves they, them, Korean, Jimin.
Yeah, Jimin is the name of the guy. That's why I think he's trolling.
Yeah.
Like I don't actually think he's being serious.
Yeah, I don't identify as British. So please don't refer to me as British because I identify as Korean. Like that's just my culture. That's my home country.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
So either I think it's a mixture of like he's like, I think he's liking the attention. Like think about how much attention that this has brought him. And I'm pretty sure even when he was like getting all the plastic surgeries, he got so much attention. So now he needs to continue the attention, you know? Yeah. The stories have dried up. He's got to make something else up, you know? So
here's another article. So this one's actually a little bit older. I think it's from 2018 or something. But I guess there was a guy that was born, a white male named Adam, born in Tampa, Florida, I guess. He now calls himself Jadu and considers himself a Filipino. He even drives what he calls a tuk-tuk, an Asian-derived vehicle used for public transit in the Philippines. Apparently he's a part of a small but growing number of people who call themselves transracial. The term once referred only to someone of one race adopting a child of another, but now it's becoming associated with someone born of one race who identifies with another. Jadu says he grew up enjoying Filipino food, events, and overall culture.
You can enjoy those things without being... but then I guess, again, people could say the same thing about transgender. Oh God, I don't know.
I think but
then they don't have that body dysmorphia. That is the difference.
Yeah.
So if you have body dysmorphia, that is a real like condition.
But someone could argue that someone that's like feels like they're born in the wrong race could have body dysmorphia.
I think you'd have to be clinically diagnosed with that kind of thing. You can't just be like, I have body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
But is it dysmorphia? Body. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the exact term.
What
but
is body dysmorphia? Maybe I'm saying something completely wrong. Hold on.
No, but it's like you feel like you're...
No, body dysmorphia is, I think, when you think that you're fat and you're not.
Oh, God.
Hold on, wait. Oh, body dysphoria. Sorry, guys.
Yeah,
I always say body dysmorphia.
So
body dysmorphia is when you like think you're like really fat, when you're like skinny or something. And then body dysphoria is when you think that you're like you're trapped in like a male body when like you should be in a female body kind of thing.
Okay.
But I don't know.
I don't know either. This is just like...
I think these are another difference that I would like to note is that transgenders have been around for a very long time.
Yeah.
And this has been a condition, like we've seen it happen for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And it's like an issue that has been like a thing. But then something like the transracial, is like a very, very, very small fringe group of people that are saying that they are transracial.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. I mean, it does sound like it's a growing number of people, but at the same time, you're right. Like, you know, transgender people have been around for centuries, right? Like it's been known for like a very, very long time. So it's something that does exist and has existed. Whereas, I don't know, I have mixed feelings about this transracial.
I know, right?
Like,
it's hard to like pinpoint.
Yeah, because
I mean, does it really matter? Not necessarily. Like if somebody wants to be like, I'm Korean, like whatever, it doesn't really matter to me.
Yeah.
Like,
but I think it's quite funny when you say you're another race, like Korean or something. Don't speak fluent Korean. I don't think he's lived there. Like I don't know. There's just so many things where I'm just like, are you actually, like, you say you identify as? But I guess he's saying he's ethnically Korean, so that means he's like he wants to look Korean. Not necessarily.
I don't know.
Not necessarily like nationally. I don't know.
I mean, there's been people that, you know, say that they feel like they're 5 years old, or they feel like they're a dog. You know, like. Those are other like kind of ridiculous things that people say. Yeah. And that undermines the kind of issues that transgender people go through.
I think that's the difficult thing with this is people are going to see this and kind of like we have as well been like, oh my God, like what is this?
Yeah.
And it is going to like, I think it's going to
trivialize.
Yes. Trivialize transgender people and the issues that they're going through, the struggles that they're facing. And I think that it's just, I don't know.
I found an article.
Okay.
It says why we shouldn't compare transracial to transgender identity. Unlike gender inequality, racial inequality primarily accumulates across generations. Transracial identification undermines collective reckoning with that injustice. Well, oh God, it's a long article. Okay, I'm not reading all this. But you guys can search it up.
Yeah, look it up and read through the article. And yeah, I don't know. I'm still not. I'm not a.
You're not 100% sure.
No, I'm not either. I'm not either way because I'm like, but it does seem like it seems weird. But maybe I'm just old fashioned.
Oh God, is this going to be the new thing? Are we bigots?
Who knows? I think we have open enough minds. Like, I mean, I just feel like I need to understand this better.
I mean, if you're going to come to me and say that like in 10 years, this is actually a real thing. And like, there's evidence to suggest that this is like a real thing, whatever. Yeah. And you know what, at the end of the day, if it makes you happy, like do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I have no problem if you want to be, I don't know, fucking Filipino, if you want to be fucking Korean.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, you know, whatever makes you happy.
This is true.
Yeah, we're not going to like petition against transracial people.
At the end of the day, really, ultimately, all of this stuff comes down to is like, if that's what's going to make these people happy and that's how they want to live their life, and it's not really doing anyone else necessarily any harm.
I guess so.
Sort of.
Is that a little problematic? I don't know.
Is it cultural appropriation?
I don't.
Is this like the greatest form of cultural appropriation?
Oh, maybe.
You know,
oh my God.
No longer dressing up as someone else's culture. You're literally getting plastic surgery to look like someone else. And like he's getting
like the squinty eyes. I was a little taken aback.
Yeah.
I was like, are we not offended by this? Like, I'm actually kind of surprised.
Yeah. It was.
Well, that's one way to not be labeled a cultural appropriator. Because when you come out as transracial, now you're kind of hitting them in a weird angle, like because you're saying you're transracial, so people can't be bigoted against you. But then if you don't say you're transracial, then people are going to be like, you're culturally appropriating my face.
Yeah.
Although he doesn't look at all Korean.
He doesn't. Like if you saw him on the street, you would not think that he's Korean. Like,
I don't know. Should we be offended? I'm actually surprised.
Are you offended?
I'm not offended, but I don't get offended that easily.
Yeah.
I am surprised that people are. Maybe people are offended. I'm not sure. But like, it seems that people aren't that offended based on what I've seen. And like, it's more so people are just like, what the fuck is he doing?
True.
But it's like,
I think, and the thing is, I think also whenever it comes to like huge amounts of plastic surgery as well, like that people like change their face and their look so drastically. I think no matter what they're doing, people are like, oh my God, what are you doing?
Yeah. Cause like it just never looks good.
Yeah. I saw this, this was like years ago. There was this show that like looked at people that had done lots of plastic surgery. And one of these people went on the show, and it's kind of sad because I think a lot of people that get into this plastic surgery trap, they like start doing like little things and little things turn into more and then it kind of spirals. Pardon me, there was a guy on there who I guess wanted to look like Kim Kardashian.
Oh, I saw.
Yeah, and he had like his whole face done, his eyebrows. Like he had spent, I think like 250,000 pounds
Right.
on plastic surgeries from the UK.
And he looked so bad.
And honestly, like, I feel really bad saying this, guys, but it just looked like at one point he had his lips so full. It looked painful. Like, I was like, actually looking at your lips looks painful. Like, and I'm like, where are his friends? Where is his family? Like, where's your checks and balances, right? Like, you know, I would hope, you know, if like, and I'm not discrediting. There's lots of people that get plastic surgery to better their, you know, to do whatever they want, not better their lives, but to make themselves feel better, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Which, you know, totally fine. But I think there's a fine line between, you know, starting to do a bit too much work and you can actually do a lot of damage. And I think, you know, unfortunately, people with lower self-confidence, they can get stuck in that trap where they're constantly doing it. Like, I saw another episode of that show where somebody was going on and he had a nose job so many times that like plastic surgeons were like refusing to do his nose because they're like, you're literally gonna have no nose, like it's gonna concave into your face.
Oh my god.
And so he went to a plastic surgeon in like another country that would do it.
That's the thing. It's like when you're that far gone, even if you had like your friends to tell you like you should stop, they probably aren't listening.
Exactly.
You know,
it gets to the point where it's like, oh my god. And it like, I feel like there's like, and this is gonna sound really bad, but I feel like there's like a nice way to do plastic surgery where it's like slight touch-ups or whatever you want to get done, where it still looks kind of natural. Like, and I feel like some celebrities do that. And,
yes,
you know,
celebrities do a pretty good job.
Exactly. You know, get a little tiny bit of filler, like that kind of stuff, like whatever. But it's like once you cross that line and you start doing way too much, it looks
so bad. So bad.
So I just think, you know, with this guy that's getting all the plastic surgeries to look Korean as well, I think, you know, at some point you have to, you know, ask yourself, like, what are you doing to your face? You know, like, oh my god.
I mean, that's a quote if I ever heard one. At some point you're gonna have to ask yourself, what are you doing to your face?
Well, this is true. Like,
seriously though.
I feel like a dick, but
even with celebrities
truth.
too, there's been some botched cases, you know.
Of course.
It's been bad.
Plastic surgery is risky anyway.
Who can you think of that had like botched surgery?
Well,
who's like, when you think plastic surgery, bad plastic surgery, what
so I remember, do you remember Tara Reid?
Oh yeah.
She had like a really bad, like, I think boob job. And then there was, who else? I know Courtney Cox for a while.
Oh yes.
Hers wasn't necessarily botched, but she went a bit too far.
Right.
And
she did a little too much.
Yeah, her face was a little bit too. She
did some Botox action. Too much Botox.
And like too much
Botox is very common as well.
And too much plumper in the lips.
Right.
And stuff.
Yeah. She had the big lips before everybody else.
Exactly. And I think, you know, again, we're kind of commenting, but like whatever makes these people happy, but at the same time, like, is this stuff actually making them happy?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like I'm torn about the concept of plastic surgery. Like, I feel like you're right. Like, at the end of the day, on surface level, it doesn't seem harmless. I mean, it seems harmless. Yeah. Because people are just like, oh, I'm just doing it to, like, you know, increase my self-esteem. But then I'm like, okay, so then why do you think that's gonna increase your self-esteem? Yeah. I get it in certain extreme circumstances, like when people are born with unfortunate, like, really, like, maybe a huge nose and they got made fun of. Like, I understand those things.
Yeah.
And I think that's the extent of plastic surgery that I think is maybe somewhat healthy or okay. But then what does it say about our broader society that, like, we're thinking that this is, like, acceptable for everyone to do?
Exactly.
Anyway.
Craziness.
I can think of one really bad plastic surgery example.
Which?
Meg Ryan.
Oh no.
Do you know Meg Ryan?
Yes.
Do you know, like,
when Harry Met Sally, right?
Have you seen her? The movie you refuse to watch. My favorite rom-com.
Yeah.
She was so beautiful, and I don't know what she did with her face. Yeah. But it was not a good time.
Oh God, it's so sad. It's just like, you know what? Leave it alone. Like,
I know,
let
she
natural.
Looked so good, and that's what. Every time I watch it, I'm like, it breaks my heart. I'm like, oh, you were so pretty. And of course, people's face change, like, when they get older. But,
of
like,
course, it's a natural part of
hers
like,
was
life.
definitely a botched situation.
It's kind of like, it kind of like blows me away because, like, I've never actually, like, none of my friends have gotten, like, I have friends that have had plastic surgery, but none of them have gotten them while I've been their friend, if that makes sense.
Oh, so I've never seen the transition.
Like, because I'm always wonder, like, imagine you came over to my house one day and, like, didn't look like you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd be like,
I mean, I think most people would. Like, it wouldn't be an extreme change.
But even think about this, it wouldn't be. But, like, for example, like, if I got a nose job,
yeah,
like, you would be shocked at how much it would change my face.
That's true.
Because even the slightest little things that you do to your face.
True.
Like if my nose was slightly bigger or slightly smaller, it changes your entire face.
That is very true. I've had a lot of friends, because I'm Korean, a lot of Korean people, we like our plastic surgery apparently. Guys, I haven't had anything done. I might do later. Who knows? No, I'm actually kind of afraid of surgery and anyway,
well, it's risk. That's the thing. People think plastic surgery is just like this walk in the park, and it's
know
it is still a surgery. There are risks.
There are many risks, even in Korea, where it's like known to be a very
quite safe or more safe.
But I've had quite a few friends that have gone through plastic surgery, and you're right, like even a small thing, or what seemingly is a small thing, like maybe like double eyelid surgery, their face looks completely different.
Exactly.
And then they get addicted, because then all of a sudden they're getting the attention that they didn't get before.
Oh my God, what else should I do?
Exactly.
And this is where you turn it down to slippery slope. So just be careful, guys.
Be careful, guys.
Yeah, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but just be really
mindful.
Yeah, be really concrete and just like know that you're doing it more for yourself. If that's
that doesn't even make any sense.
I know. Anyway.
I mean, okay, people say that. But it's like, there's no such thing as doing that for yourself completely. Yeah. You're doing it because other people are looking at your face. Yes, you're doing it like because you want to feel confident. But why do you feel confident with your nose changed? It's not like you're walking around with a mirror in your face all day. It's because other people are looking at you, and that's totally fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's one of my pet peeves when people are like, I put on makeup for myself. Oh my God. Okay, maybe like 2% of people put on makeup when they're sitting at home by themselves. But even then, I guarantee you most people do not.
Yeah.
So, and it's fine to put on makeup for other people.
Exactly. And that's true. Like, let's think about, like, we can reflect on all of us. It's like, you know what? If I have the day off, I'm not doing anything. I don't have anything planned. I'm at home. Yeah, I'm going to be in my sweatpants, and maybe I'm not going to shower that day. Like, well,
last time you also didn't shower, but anyway.
Oh, God damn. You be nasty as hell to me. God damn.
Well, that means you feel comfortable with me.
That's true. Isn't that nice? Moving right along.
Anyways,
our next story. I don't know if you heard about this. Did you hear about this? Like, no! It's fucking crazy. Yeah. So
I literally don't know what to say.
I know. I'm gonna tell you guys the story, and then let's get our input into it. So the headline is: thousands thought they were getting the COVID vaccine. Guys, I don't want this to scare people either to get the COVID vaccine. Though I feel like I shouldn't necessarily be talking about this.
Well, no. I mean, okay, continue.
This was a scam. Okay, this was 100% a scam. So, and it's really sad because I feel like where it happened and stuff, it's just like they're going through a lot of stuff right now. So, anyway, basically, thousands thought they were getting the COVID vaccine. Instead, they were actually getting injected with salt water.
Insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. So basically, the way this worked, I guess thousands of people have fallen prey to an elaborate, wide-ranging scam selling fake coronavirus vaccines in India, with doctors and medical workers among those that were arrested for involvement. So what was happening is, like, doctors, and not all doctors, but some doctors and medical workers were working with these criminals to start selling to different people COVID vaccines, which were actually
just salt water.
Salt water.
How did they get caught?
I'm not sure.
So it says that estimated 2,500 people were given fake shots. The organizers charged their victims fees for the shots, earning up. You okay?
Yeah.
The organizers charged their victims fees for their shots, earning up to $28,000 in total.
Yeah.
I assume that's in US dollars.
It must be in US dollars. And that would probably be a lot in India.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So I'm guessing, like, I mean, it's just horrible. I mean, this is just showing you, I think this is like, these are the worst crimes. I feel like, there's crimes out there. There's many crimes, many different crimes. But I feel like these kind of crimes that prey or take advantage of, like, pandemic type situations. Yeah. And, like, another example, which I don't necessarily think it's as bad as this. Obviously, you're injecting people with salt water. Like, that's just terrible.
Oh, my God.
And they're thinking that they have their vaccine. And, like, oh, great. I have my vaccine. I'm safe. Potentially can contract coronavirus after. It's horrible, horrible, horrible. But it reminds me sort of that. Do you remember those, like, I think there were like two brothers in the US that, like, went around and hoarded supplies.
The sanitizers.
Yes, sanitizer and everything else. And then we're charging people.
I think this is much worse.
Of course this is worse. Yes. But it just shows you, like, anytime that this is what makes me so frustrated with humanity.
I know.
Is like anytime there's money to be made and there's a way to like manipulate like a situation, people are in there. Like,
I know.
Who thought this was a good idea?
I know.
Like, and do we know like what happens to people when you inject? I'm sure salt water is like harmless, but
yeah,
like,
I'm sure it's harmless. Well, this is another reason that we should not be trusting the private marketplace for things like this, because people are greedy. And when people are greedy and you can make money through administering fake vaccines, they will do it.
Exactly.
That's fucked up, dude.
So it's really sad. It's just like I feel for the people that got the vaccines. They got their money scammed from them, and they thought they were, what's it called? They thought they were.
Yeah, they were safe.
Yeah.
Oh God.
How fucking sad.
That is so fucked up, dude.
I know.
This is like, I really want to believe humanity is good, and then I hear shit like this.
God. Well, the thing is I feel like this just like re-emphasizes, like, I know we talk about like capitalism a lot on this podcast, guys, and I'm sure you're sick of hearing about it, but I just feel like this, maybe not this example, but there's another story that maybe we'll talk about later as well.
Oh, goddamn.
That like, it just shows you that like, literally people are out there to make money. People are greedy and they will do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
This is just a prime example. Like, who in their right mind would vaccinate or inject people with salt water to make money during a pandemic when people are dying, like literally dying?
Or maybe it's like when you are in situations where it's kind of like, because like India is kind of like a dog eat dog sort of world, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, money kind of makes, like, okay, to be fair, guys, I haven't been to India. I've just seen like movies and stuff, but like I know there's a lot of corruption, there's a lot of issues, and if you have a lot of money, you can do a lot of things.
Yeah,
it's one of those things where if you have a lot of money, you can get away with a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like you can buy politicians. So I think that's part of the incentive, for example. So when you create a world like that where there is such a disparity between like rich people and poor people, and you get treated very differently based on how much money you have, that's going to be a bigger incentive to do something like this.
It's so funny because, you make a really good point. I would like, and I put this challenge out to our listeners as well, but, thinking of different countries around the world and the different issues, like obviously no country's perfect. Every country has its issues and whatever else. But I would almost go as far to say, as countries that have greater disparity, generally have more issues.
Oh, I mean, that's for sure.
100%. Like
that is for sure.
Every time you have this amount of like disparity between people, and you don't have that strong middle class, it creates all
these
kinds
types of problems. Exactly.
That's why it concerns me that we are having this like not movement, but like this thing happening in the more westernized countries or whatever, that we're actually squeezing out the middle class. Yeah. So that's happening. We did have a period of time where the middle class was growing, things were prosperous, and now, a lot of economists and people are saying actually now we're shrinking that. Yeah. More and more people are ending up at the, kind of poverty line, and there's a handful of people with tons of money. So, and so many countries that are in this like really polarized demographic, it's like it creates so many problems. It really does. And I think that's when, this is just highlights the importance of having, a foundation of a strong government and like
and no corruption.
Yeah.
And oh God, like I actually could not believe this. Although like, I mean, I wouldn't put it past humans to do something like this.
Which again, guys, like it's sad. It's really sad.
Oh God. And it's so sad because there's so many issues in India with COVID, They're
having a huge breakout, or they were having a huge breakout, and tons of people are dying. Like it's horrible. And then this happens. It's just like, this is just really, really bad. Which I mean, okay. Yeah. So it's just really, really sad situation in India, and the people, they're trying to arrest people and make some fines and do stuff. But I just think it just shatters confidence, and it just it's not great. It's not great.
Anyways, so next story is, I mean, I don't know if it's lighthearted. It's not really, but it's kind of like a pop news story.
Yeah, entertainment news. This has been trending.
Did you watch the video?
I saw parts of it.
Oh my God. Okay. Tell.
So basically, guys, if you haven't been watching social media and you haven't been online, where have you been? Wendy Williams is apparently under some... I mean, Wendy Williams...
Who's Wendy Williams? Tell the audience.
So Wendy Williams has her like own little talk show, I think.
Where? Like, I don't know who this person is. I just know she has a talk show.
Yeah, so she has a talk show. I think it's called like Wendy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, she has like her own show.
And she's already kind of like... she's not the most PC person to begin with. Like
Right.
she's just not very, conscious of issues. She's just not very, she's known for being loud, boisterous, kind of like,
Right.
she's just not very PC basically.
So is she just known to be a talk show host?
Yes,
Is that her
yeah.
like?
So she does talk show host. She often like has like celebrity segments or
Right.
where she talks about different celebrities
Yeah.
and things like that. It's more like a gossip kind of.
Okay. So
talk
not
show.
the most classy show.
No, it's not something that you know what I mean? Like
She ain't Oprah.
no.
No.
She ain't no Oprah. She's definitely
Okay.
all about the drama. She's all
is
about
she like Ellen DeGeneres?
No,
No.
that's like a different.
Yeah. I just like hear her always in some kind of drama. I think that's how I like know of her name.
Well, because she always is in the drama.
Well, and this drama is what, Daniel?
So basically, guys, the reason she's getting blasted this time is she did a very strange. I mean, she has a lot of strange segments, to be fair, but she did a really strange segment about a recent TikTok star.
Yeah.
That was actually murdered.
Yeah.
Which is like very sad.
Yeah.
His name was Swayze.
Swayze, I guess.
So he was like a really big TikTok star. He had a lot of followers on both TikTok and Instagram. Now I watched the beginning of the video and like,
yeah.
did you see it as well?
I saw it.
Yeah.
Because like I didn't know what it was, right? So basically, the way she started the segment, it sounded like it was going to be some kind of gossipy sort of, some kind of dumb story. Because, we talk about TikTok stars and like the dumb shit they do.
Of course, yeah.
So she showed this like picture of this, I think he was 19 or something, of this TikTok star. And then, she started out by saying like, I have no idea who this is. And neither does anybody in this room.
Yeah.
And just kind of like talking him very down and basically talking like he's very unimportant. Why are we even talking about this?
Yeah.
And then she says, and he was 19 and he was murdered. And it was like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah. The thing is like she has this way of bringing up stories and bringing up people. Like she's never really that nice, but generally it's like a drama story or something that goes along with it. And the reason why there's so much backlash is because exactly that reason is she brought it up in this like very strange, like quite distasteful, especially because she already knew that like she would have known about this story already.
Yeah, she knew.
Yeah. So like and it was like, she was going around being like, nobody knows this guy. Like nobody in the audience knows him, like all this stuff. And then started commenting on how many followers and stuff he had. And how she was complaining about how he had more TikTok followers. And, all this stuff. It was a very, very strange thing. And then she was just kind of like, well, he got murdered. Moving on. Yeah. Like next, like.
Did she say anything else after that?
Apparently she didn't. I haven't seen that whole segment, but apparently she literally just did this piece. And then.
What is the point of doing that piece?
Exactly. But that's why people are saying it's so strange because they were like, it was just very, very strange. Hang on. I'm just seeing where. Yeah, she was like, he's got so many more TikTok followers, and she like appeared very unimpressed. Oh yeah, so then she's like, Swayze's now dead. All those followers. Yeah, that's really tragic. Only 19 years old. Concluded Williams before switching gears to discuss another story.
What the? Okay, so in this article it says, Williams, appearing disengaged, proceeded to recant details surrounding the death. Okay, so I guess she did explain a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, so like, apparently the TikTok star was fatally shot this past Monday in Delaware.
Yeah.
And his death was confirmed by his family in an announcement. And so I guess they're trying to find the killer.
Yeah.
And the way she said it was literally just like so dismissive, like, oh, I don't care about this, like, TikTok star. Who cares if he has more followers?
Exactly.
And it's just.
And the way, but also even just the way she was like coming at the beginning, like, nobody knows him. Like, who cares? Why are we talking about him?
It was almost like she was like forced to talk about it. Or something.
And I'm like, even if somebody's alive, you shouldn't necessarily do that. Yeah. But at least if they're alive, they can defend themselves, or you know what I mean? There's a little bit more. Yeah. But like, that this person was fatally murdered, which is like their family's like just recently as well. The family's still dealing with this. There's a lot going on. And now you're kind of like almost poking fun at the person that got killed. Yeah, like exactly. Like being, it sounded like she was poking fun. Oh, 100%. Because like the audience like kind of, because audience didn't know what was coming. Yeah. So they were kind of like laughing, and then she was like, oh yeah, she did this weird thing where she was like, nobody here knows who he is. Like, clap your hands if you know who he is. Yeah. Just kind of like trying to prove her point that nobody here knows him. Yeah. Who the fuck cares? Exactly. Like of course, like your audience is not going to know a TikTok star. But this is the thing too. Like, what does it matter if somebody knows somebody or not? Like, you could be a super famous whatever, have your not cohort, but your audience. It's very niche or whatever.
Cohort. We've spent too much time in
this is true. This is true. I'm like your cohort.
Uh-huh.
And it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if other audien's don't recognize you. Like, who the fuck cares?
How is she even famous? Like, is anyone watching this show?
Well, her show is actually quite big. And she's just famous for basically being
very like dramatic and like.
And she always does stuff like this. She's just like quite rude when she brings people up and stuff. Like,
do you think she does it on purpose because she knows she's getting attention?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's
like, does she apologize for this kind of stuff?
I don't think so. But again, guys, I don't know. I don't really watch the Wendy Williams show.
Yeah.
So
I think I literally think the first time I like saw her was like when she had. This must have been like over 10 years ago. I'm not sure. But like, I remember there was like some drama. Again, it's always when it's drama. I like never hear about her unless it's drama.
Yeah.
It was like her, like, and she had a talk show guest on, and she was called Omarosa. No, Omarosa.
Omarosa from Celebrity Big Brother.
No, Apprentice.
She was on Celebrity Big Brother.
Oh, really?
Too, I think,
okay. So I can't remember the details, and because I never watched like Apprentice or anything, but I just remember watching this drama because like Omarosa came on the show, and like it was clear that they like didn't like each other.
Yeah.
And then they were like fighting on air, like they were just like arguing, and I can't remember what they were saying, but it was like basically it was like daytime talk show gold. Basically, it was just like one of those things where you're just like, oh my god, this drama. Yeah. Like before YouTube drama was really a thing, it was like, oh, this is drama.
You're like, oh my god. I could see Williams being one of those, like Wendy being one of those people though, that like, let's say you're like a really big star and you're going to be interviewed by her. And you know, I get why sometimes they'll have like a set list of questions because they also want to prepare for the interview. Like, I don't want to be caught off guard too much, right? And I could see her being like bringing in some real personal shit and just really putting you on the spot.
Yeah. I can't remember who was rude. They were both very rude. Yeah. And I think actually Omarosa was kind of rude.
Yeah. I heard she's quite a personality to deal with in her own right.
Yes. So it's clearly both of them were, you know, butting heads. But anyways.
But I just think in this case, it's like, you know what, guys, and maybe this is just my opinion on this, but I just think, you know, if someone has died and been like viciously murdered or something, I think we ought to show them a little bit more respect. You know, you can.
And also just this, again, you're right. Like, even if they didn't die, it's like, why do you have to like diminish his
accomplishments?
Yeah, just like, who cares? Like, okay, yeah, you can be like, oh, he has like this many TikTok followers. You can be like, I don't know why he's famous. Yeah. But like, you didn't even say what his TikTok is about. You know?
Exactly. Like, I get it. You can say, oh, I don't understand this. I don't understand.
Like, I don't understand why half the people on TikTok are famous.
Me neither. Half of them, I'm just like, what the hell? Yeah. But you know, they are famous in their own right, and you know, you can't diminish that they have that. And I think especially though, you should never do that anyways. But I think especially if someone's been murdered, I just feel like you owe it to them to show them a little bit of respect. And I think that's why she's received, like, people that tune into a Wendy Williams show, it's like watching Jerry Springer. It's like a train wreck that you just can't, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's,
it's like a slightly classier version of Jerry Springer.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, there's not like fighting and shit on it, but like she's just very, not the most nice person, like not the most pleasant. I think you know what to expect, right? But at the same time, I think even her fans were like, this has gone too far. God. You know, like, this is just not fair, and it's not right to this person, this poor family that this happened on Monday, guys. Like, this is like a week ago. Like, this is not okay.
Do you think she's going to apologize?
Well, we'll soon find out, won't we?
She's milking the extra publicity. You know what they say? No
publicity is bad publicity. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're talking about it. So,
exactly. And like, when do we ever talk about the Wendy Williams show?
Like, well, this is the first time. And you know what? She's on one of the top 50% of podcasts in the world now, you know? So there you go. She's getting her.
God damn, she's getting the publicity she wants. That's crazy. Gotta love like is she a daytime talk show type of person?
I think so. Again, guys.
You know what else I used to love? I don't really watch it anymore, but like back when The View was like this was way back when it was like Rosie O'Donnell and Elizabeth Hasselbeck. Have you ever watched it during that time?
No, I didn't watch it. Did they used to fight?
Oh my God, it was gold because Elizabeth Hasselbeck is like very conservative. She's like Republican, like full on. And then Rosie O'Donnell's obviously like lesbian, you know, very left wing. And there was so much drama. It was so great. Like Rosie O'Donnell, she was like, there was this really big drama because she like made fun of Donald Trump. And
Rosie did.
But this was nothing to do with Elizabeth. But like I remember Rosie O'Donnell, there was like this big story of like, because Donald Trump, I guess, like owned Miss USA pageant or Miss America or one of those things. And I guess one of the contestants was caught like drinking, you know, partying. And like, you know, these people are like 21, 22 years old. Like, of course they're going to fucking party.
Exactly. What do you expect?
And then this made headlines. Again, this was maybe about 10, 15, 20 years ago. I can't remember.
Yeah.
So obviously at that time, things were a little bit different. And so there was like this big, apparently, press conference where Donald Trump was like, oh, like, what just broke, Daniels?
Nothing broke. I accidentally popped this off.
Oh, okay. Anyways, things be breaking.
Oh, goddamn.
So yeah, there was like this headline of like, basically Donald Trump had to like allow her to continue to compete. And then Rosie O'Donnell was saying how like, and then she like did an impression of him like and his hair and basically said how like, how are you the moral authority when you had like 3 affairs and like been divorced however many times? And and then of course, because he's such a petty man, like he got so mad. Anyways, there's also other drama of like when they went into like a full on like feud. Rosie O'Donnell versus Elizabeth Hasselbeck. If you go on like YouTube and search
you probably
that,
find so many of them. Hey?
Oh, it is gold.
I'm gonna have to do that. Maybe that will be my evening watching.
Oh my god, it is literal gold. So yeah.
Awesome. So our final story today, guys.
Oh goddamn.
Is I kind of referred to this earlier today about like talking about capitalism and unregulated capitalism, and you know we kind of like assume that because these companies are so big, they're just going to do the right thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Which we shouldn't.
I think, but there is this like false assumption, right? The false assumption is these huge corporations, no matter what, will be making the right choices, the best choices for the wider good. I don't know why, but it's true. That's like what people think, right? Like, people
well,
like,
I mean, some people.
A lot of people, though, like if you look at like certain things, they'll be like, oh, well, that company, you know,
right, because they're reputable.
Exactly. Right. They have a reputation. They're huge. They're global. They're all of these buzzwords, right? So the interesting thing happened, guys. So I guess in the EU, it was announced that the European Commission has fined Volkswagen Group and BMW $1 billion for colluding with, and I've never heard of this company, Damier?
Damier?
I think they're another car manufacturer or whatever, to hold back on the development of technology that could reduce harmful emissions from their vehicles. In a statement on Thursday, the commissioner said the 3 German car makers, along with Volkswagen subsidiaries Audi and Porsche, breached EU antitrust rules by agreeing to avoid competing on technical development in the area of nitrogen oxide cleaning. So I guess what they had decided is between the years of 2009 to 2014, they held regular technical meetings to discuss the development of technology that eliminated harmful emissions from diesel passenger cars. And I guess they had colluded and agreed, like, let's not compete with each other. We're all going to just achieve the minimum requirement of the EU.
Right.
You know what I mean? But let's not become like each other's competition here. Let's just work together. And
God.
Yeah. So
Damier, BMW, Volkswagen, Audi, and Porsche possess the technology to reduce harmful emissions beyond what was legally required under EU emission standards.
Yes.
But they avoided to compete on using this technology's full potential to clean better than what is required by law. So they did this, I guess, to save money, because they didn't have to because if one of them did slightly more, then they could advertise as we're more clean emission.
Exactly.
And then they would have to spend more to up the standards.
It would be like if me and you were manufacturing something and there was a minimum requirement.
Right.
We would say, okay, let's just work together. Let's not compete in that area. We're already competing other places and stuff.
That's insane.
And we'll just hit the minimum standard together. We'll work, letting and that's exactly what they did. And then
that's crazy.
Yeah. It's just crazy, because it just shows you again, this is why it's good to hear. It's kind of, in some ways, it's good to hear about these stories, because it shows there are some things that happen, in sense of they've gotten in trouble. They've got a slap, more than a slap on the wrist.
Right.
They're getting a huge fine.
But at the end of the day, what's $1 billion to these companies? Who knows?
This is it. That's the thing, right? A lot of these companies, I don't know. I mean,
because Volkswagen, they've been in the news before. They've had some issues. I can't remember, a few years ago, there was a huge scandal with Volkswagen vehicles, I think.
Yeah.
So obviously that didn't deter them, because at that time there was a huge ethical. I can't remember what it was, but I do remember there was an ethical issue with Volkswagen.
Yeah.
And it was a huge scandal that broke out.
Oh, it was.
Do you remember?
Yes, it was recently. It had to do with this as
I
well.
think when we were in London, this
it was
happened.
with the diesel fuel
Yes.
as well. They were saying that their cars were more efficient or something than they actually were.
Yes.
Or something like that.
So they've already had that issue.
Yeah.
And, we pretend like that's going to, these, slaps on the wrist are somehow going to change anything.
Here we go. In 2015, Volkswagen admitted to
go.
rigging millions of diesel engines to make their emissions appear less toxic in tests than they actually were.
Yes.
The scandal set off years of investigations, fines and settlements that have cost the car maker at least $39 billion and sullied its reputation. And now here they are again, caught colluding with other car makers.
What the fuck, man?
In order to, not compete. And, it's just insane. I want to see the part where it was saying that,
God, fuck Volkswagen, dude.
oh my God.
Fuck
I
all
know.
these companies.
BMW, Porsche, Audi, guys, like this is bad. But again,
and they call this I find the title of the article quite interesting. They call it an emissions cartel.
yeah.
It kind of is.
Well, it is. It's like,
because they're kind of coming together, working on being corrupt together. Like,
Yeah.
what's the definition of cartel?
well, it is. A cartel is like a group of things, like things working together, right? Is
That what it is? Let me
But I think
Google.
it's doing something illegal.
Because
Because you have like a drug cartel.
Yes.
You have like an emissions cartel. I think what it means.
Let
is
me find it. Let me find it.
see the definition.
Okay, what do you think it means?
I think it means a group of companies are working together to do something that might be deemed illegal or insensitive to the wider public.
It's like literally the definition of what's happening here. A cartel is a collection of independent businesses or organizations that collude in order to manipulate the price of a product or service.
Exactly.
Cartels are competitors in the same industry and seek to reduce that competition by controlling the price in agreement with one another. Okay, so that's literally the definition.
Exactly what they done
I didn't
here.
know that was like what the definition was.
But it makes you wonder, like, how many other
Right, because
businesses
they're
are
getting
doing
caught.
this. Yeah.
But like, who knows, right?
Like, the oil and gas industry.
Right.
There's so many other industries where I'm
industry.
like, the
Could
flight
be,
industry, telecommunications.
Yeah.
How many of these big corporations are,
That's fucked
forming
up, dude.
cartel? I know.
Forming like fucking random cartels.
But this is why it's so important. Like, obviously, I'm not saying like government is everything, right? But I'm like, it's so important that we, as a general public, we put pressure on these companies, and and that's why we
and governments.
Yeah, exactly. To ensure that this stuff doesn't happen, because
I know
this obviously is not in the best interest of consumers.
I'm obviously not.
Yeah.
But then like, what can we do? I guess we have to just keep talking about it.
Exactly. Keep talking about it. Obviously, the government stepped in.
Yeah, it's like fucked up. Oh God.
Up.
I'm just like surprised because like that Volkswagen scandal was huge and it's kind of like, okay, so you learned nothing.
Well, I think maybe because it says these charges relate to
Oh,
conduct
right. So
that took
it's been
place
going on
between 2009 and 2014. So apparently between those 6 years, that's when this, cartel was going on. And
so
then
while Volkswagen was already rigging the fucking
tests.
vehicles, they were all also participating in this cartel business.
It's just so bad because it's like, can you not just like,
I know, right?
Be honest and like do a test and be like, this is what the result was.
I know, right?
Like, I don't understand why the fuck these companies they have to manipulate everything in a game they're already winning.
I know, it's crazy.
Like it reminds me of like, in a lesser example, but like, that college admission scandal.
Yeah.
And about how you have these like elite kids from elite families.
Sure.
That already have access to like so much more privilege than everyone else, like private tutors, no financial worries, all of this kind of stuff. And yet they're still trying to cheat to get them into the top universities.
I know.
And I'm like, you already have all the best chances.
I know.
And it's like these big companies that are already making, I don't know what their profits are, probably billions a year.
Yeah.
And they're still cheating.
I know. And they're already like successful companies.
I want to know right now.
Like BMW, Audi, like these are successful. Porsche, like, are you fucking kidding me?
Here we go. This is 2019. In 2019, BMW global group revenue stood at roughly 98.5 billion euros.
So basically, $1 billion is chump change.
1% of their profit. Well, 1% of their revenue. Sorry, not their profit.
Yeah.
So I don't know what their costs and whatever else are, but like you guys, like we're talking about. I mean, obviously, $1 billion for them is still a lot of money. Like they're probably like, fuck, like
But the amount that they would have saved was more than $1 billion.
And the amount that they this is just it, right? Is the
who knows? Like they would have to. I would say to deter anything like this from happening, you'd have to charge them the amount that they potentially could have spent on like more than the amount that they would have had to spend on like doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and it begs the question as well. Like, again, like this is just like not an isolated example, but it seems like other than slapping fines and stuff, like this is, it doesn't sound like anybody's actually going to receive any prison time or do anything. You know what I mean?
Right. Because that's another problem, right? Because now we're seeing what we've done is that we've separated the corporation from the people.
Yeah.
So the corporation
is a separate entity. Yeah.
And that's what makes it very interesting and also almost like bad in a way, because you can't really put somebody, I don't think you, I mean, I think you can in some instances.
Yeah.
For example, like they did when they did, what was that company, the financial company, Enron. Yeah. And they were caught doing all kinds of fucking shit.
Yeah.
I think some of those people went to jail.
Yeah.
I think.
But again, proportionate to the crimes, like they never seem to,
I know.
you know, a lot of these like execs and stuff, they seem to like walk away. And, you know, for example, I mean, don't quote me on this, guys, because like maybe I'm wrong, but like I have a feeling that all of these people that were involved in this, you know, they're not going to have to pay back their bonuses or anything that they've received. You know what I mean? From like previous years.
They're just going to lay off some people to pay that $1 billion.
Well, this is it. They're going to lay off some people from the bottom.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
This is the thing that's like so fucked up. And it's like we also have this separation of like what I would say like blue collar crime versus white collar crime.
Oh, for sure.
And white collar crime, like obviously this is like has huge lasting impacts to economies, right? And yet
economy and our environment.
Yes, environment, and also our wider public,
yes.
right? To everyone. And yet, you know, they're like, okay, well, here's 1% of your profits.
Yeah.
We're gonna ding you, have to pay these fines. And actually, it's not 1%.
That's not even 1% because that's Volkswagen Group and BMW together.
Yes. So. Not even. So a small percentage of your total revenue as like a warning or whatever. But like, that's about it.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, you know, we won't, obviously they don't want the publicity and everything else. Like it's not great press and whatever, but like really, is it hindering them from doing it again?
I mean, clearly not. Oh God.
It's just, I don't know what the answer is.
Maybe
here,
our
guys.
world has just become too complicated. And there's too much corruption, and there's no hope for the future.
Yeah. Well, they were saying when I watched this documentary, I think it was called Capital. I think, did you watch it as well?
Yeah, you told me about it.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was in that one or a different one, but they were talking about how a lot of the like laws and legislation that were put in place around corporations and what they're doing. This is more around like taxation and, you know, moving money around and stuff like that. It was kind of created. I mean, obviously it's evolving, it's ever evolving, but it's not evolving as fast as companies are becoming global. So like before it would have been like, okay, you know, you have a mom and pop shop in the United States, pretty easy. Do you know what I mean? Like there's not a lot of complexity there, but now it's like most companies nowadays are multinational.
Yeah.
So even if they have operations in 5-6 other countries already, you know, it starts to add that level of complexity that, you know, I feel like legislation and everything else is struggling to keep up with. And that's why you find out about all these cases of companies having like offshore accounts and hiding money in certain ways and, you know, trying to avoid paying taxes. And they're getting away with it quite often because there's not a lot of regulation, or there is, but there's a lot of loopholes and, you know,
God
anyway.
Damn, Daniels. We fucked.
We is fucked.
Are we fucked?
But I don't know, guys.
Has it been an hour?
It has.
Are you sure?
It has, yeah. Okay. I don't know. Oh, actually, I don't know. I don't know, guys, if you guys think that, you know, do you think that was a sufficient fine for what they were doing? Do you think they should have paid more? Do you think that there should be jail time for these people?
I mean, this is like full on, like, I guess it's like corruption.
Market manipulation.
Yeah. Like market manipulation.
Corruption. Yeah. It's like, there's so many different things like that goes against the free market. And yeah, I don't know. I think that maybe there should be, you know, people should not be allowed to, maybe they should be, what am I trying to say? Like certain execs and stuff should not be allowed to work in that industry anymore.
Yeah, totally.
But you know what's crazy? Just on a side note, guys, is a lot of the time, like these individuals, they'll like lose a job at like, or you'll hear about somebody that does something like this. They'll lose a job at BMW, but then they'll end up working at like Toyota or somewhere else.
Yeah, that's
you know
the
what
thing.
I mean? In another senior position. And you're like,
how did you get that job?
How can you do that when you did all this over here? Like, some things don't add up.
Maybe the companies are thinking, oh, that guy's willing to go above and beyond to save money, to save our profit margin. Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters in a corporation is that profit margin.
They want to make that money. They want to make that money for them shareholders.
They're like, oh, this guy is willing to do whatever.
But I think that legally he shouldn't be allowed to work in that industry.
Right. Yeah. There should be something where it's like, if you do something like this, which is so fucked up, like you definitely should be. Yeah. Because if you're a doctor, for example, and you do something unethical, you get your license taken away.
Exactly. So that should happen for business professionals as well.
I agree.
Like, and also think about it. Like if you got arrested for like something, you know, and you had a criminal record, it would follow you around and it would be hard to get another job.
Yeah. True. These
guys should have the same thing.
Yeah.
If they're going to be doing these illegal things that we've deemed as illegal and colluding, market manipulation, whatever you want to call it, which is what they were doing, they should have more than a slap on the wrist. Yes, these companies should be fined, but whoever was involved in these decision making, which that's where there's complexity,
right? Because there's probably like multiple people, multiple layers.
Then it becomes hard. You can't just like pin it on one person, right?
But then how many people are involved in this type of thing? Because like that's what makes you wonder. It's like, okay, so clearly it's like, first of all, there's already multiple companies involved.
Yeah.
So that means multiple executives have gotten together to discuss this. That means there's other people like lower in the, you know, chain that have been aware as well.
Exactly.
So then nobody blew the whistle.
Yeah. Well, obviously somebody did. I can't remember who it was.
Oh, did someone blow the whistle? Is that how they found out?
There was another car manufacturer. I wish I could remember the name. I think it was Mercedes. I thought it was in this article, but basically they they basically were also going to get fined, but okay, no, sorry. It was the one that I hadn't heard of, Demir, was not fined because it revealed the existence of the cartel.
Oh shit.
So I guess they were the ones, even though it's a bit weird. Maybe
they were like participating.
Exactly. But maybe they figured, they were like, oh, I think the government's catching on here.
Maybe.
I should probably just say something and cut my losses.
Or it could have been someone within Damir.
That's true. That's true.
Who knows?
Then they
that's fucking crazy. God damn. Well, that's another thing. I'd be scared to blow the whistle because you don't know how powerful these people are.
Well, exactly.
Right? If they're willing to get together to market manipulate.
Exactly.
Like that.
I think some shady shit goes on at some senior levels.
Shady fucking shit goes on,
shit that we would not believe. You know what I mean?
Like, because sometimes I'm like, are we just being too, you know, suspicious? Are we being, you know? But then like this kind of shit happens. So it's like clearly there is, you know, this shit happening.
Well, exactly. I would love to like see how the other half lives sometimes, like just to see what goes on.
Well, if you watch like, for example, like Wolf of Wall Street, you watch that, right? Like you watch that and you're like they do so much fucking shady ass shit,
crazy stuff,
and then like that's like normal behavior in that industry.
Well, and that's based on true, like what actually happens.
Exactly.
So, like it makes you
and
wonder,
that guy's still fucking working and doing shit.
Oh my god, I know.
I think like people actually like take him seriously. Like he's like
he's a motivational speaker. Or something, right? Like he talks about he has the whole spiel about.
Has he changed? Is that why?
I don't know if he's necessarily changed. I know he's banned from like he can't work in investments and stuff, right? Like, he's not allowed to do that anymore.
Because he got caught. Like what was the story again? I forgot. Let's do a little rundown.
Oh, I don't really remember. It was like around he was like dealing with penny stocks, I believe.
Right.
And like manipulating the market somehow with these like small stocks. I don't know exactly what he was doing, guys. Like,
but he definitely did something illegal.
Oh, it was hugely illegal. Yeah.
And then he got caught, and then he went to jail, I think, for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then now he's a motivational speaker.
And now he talks about his experience and what it was like working, doing that.
And the sad part is, so many people probably still look up to, you know, his accomplishments, quote unquote.
Exactly.
Even though he did so much shady shit.
They're like, oh, he's a motivational speaker. I aspire to be like him one day. He can sell anything to anyone. It's like, well, that's another thing that's wrong with our society is like, we shouldn't put somebody like that necessarily on a pedestal.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Like,
just because he made a lot of money, he only made a lot of money because he did a lot of fucking shady ass shit.
Exactly. Illegal stuff. It's funny because like quite often you won't put people that do like if you found out that they ran some like I don't know some kind of brothel or whatever and made millions, you would be like, oh, I'm not gonna put
like
them
that's
on a
gross.
pedestal.
But then if
disgusting.
you're a stock trader, it's like, ooh, you're successful.
Again, white collar crime.
Oh, white collar crime. Goddamn.
Yep.
All right. Well, anyway, guys, so that concludes our episode. Lots of stories.
Episode. Yeah, tons of stuff this week.
Goddamn. Let us know down below if you are watching on YouTube your thoughts on any of these stories. Do you think transracial is a legitimate thing?
Yes.
That is the question of the day.
I'm keen to know what people comment on.
I'm keen to know.
Yeah.
I'm also kind of torn.
Yeah.
I still think it's a bit of a troll, but who knows?
Yeah. And if you guys have a chance, maybe just Google what's that guy's name? Ollie London.
Ollie London. Yeah. Yes.
And you can find out more about his transition to be Korean.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, once again, thank you so much for listening. Make sure you check out our Patreon. The link is down below. It is patreon.com/TheSaVeg Podcast. We're going to be recording our July Patreon exclusive right after this.
Yes, we are.
So, woohoo!
Good times.
What else are they going to do, Daniel?
And also, guys, if you happen to be listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, don't forget to hit that follow button. It just means that you'll get up to date with, you'll get updated as soon as new episodes go live. And yeah, thanks again for watching this week, guys. And we will catch you next week.
Bye.
Bye.